All right, here we go, straight onto the Rift here. It's going to be the Mountain Drake, first one, sticking its head out into that bottom side of the river, and already ROX and SKT looking like they're going to square off down here.
Yeah, Peanut actually going back to the Graves is interesting. He's been favoring that instead of the Elise, generally speaking, and he's been really good on it, but it's not a champion we typically would associate here with Peanut. Oh. And since we didn't get much of a chance, an opportunity to talk about these teams' characters too much in the intro, we should give a little bit of a breakdown right now, because both of these teams have the shortest average game times in the league. They're number 1 and number 2. SK Telecom at 34.5 minutes, ROX at 35.2 minutes, so very little separation between the two of these. The big thing to be looking out here for, though, is that ROX generally has a very strong early game. They're up over 1,000 gold at 15 minutes typically, but it doesn't usually translate into dragons. Meanwhile, SKT has a slower gold start, but they have controlled 82% of their dragons over 4 games. So even though they don't have that same gold lead at 15 minutes, they're able to close out in shorter games, and they do that by controlling the dragon. And that's kind of the theme that we've seen amongst the best teams after the mid-season patch.
That's a good stat to have when the Mountain Drake is the first one that we'll be seeing in this game. Follow that up with some Infernals at SK Telecom. Certainly going to have the tools necessary to close out the games shorter than their opponents. But big question marks right now when it still comes to the ROX Tigers, and we have to see if they've corrected a lot of these mistakes that they've been suffering from at the start of this split. I mean, swapping out Koro and Try has been something that we've seen, happening back and forth as we see this little scuffle on the bottom side. Ignite going to be used by Gorilla.
Yeah, Exhaust from Wolf.
No, it looks like it was Flash from
Wolf.
Wolf.
Flash from Wolf,
yeah,
right.
Exhaust is still up there. So, just going to be trading Summoners. The flash down for the Nami, though, is pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging to deal with. And one of the things about taking this Nami so early, so if we look at SK Telecom's composition, yes, they're absolutely wonderful at kiting. Parallel Convergence, Glacial Storm, these are things that make it very easy if your opponents are drawn in to crowd control them and to punish them, right? And especially with Sivir dealing a lot with those ricochet crits, the damage output is there. But the problem is that if they ever need to engage something, they're really, really limited. Faker's going to have to hit that slow-moving Flash Frost skill shot, or they're going to have to try and land a tidal wave, which Gorilla can just block.
Yeah,
so
just delete that.
He can just remove it. And yes, they have Sivir ultimate, but they still have to have somebody who can actually CC in range. So maybe Sivir ult into an Aniniva wall. Regardless, it's going to be difficult, is what I'm saying, for SK Telecom to actually initiate any kind of team fights. ROX will have a lot easier time with that Ash Arrow and a Ghost onto Kuro to really get in the mix and use his pool, etc., etc.
Yeah. We've seen a good amount of Ash, actually, across some of the other regions. I mean, even just today, Sneaky was actually playing that one in their last game against Echo Fox. I didn't get to watch all of that, but apparently his arrows were pretty on point.
Yeah, it's been pretty. The Ash is an up-and-coming pick, and it depends on which team plays it, right? Because some teams really like to have their initiation on their top laner, playing some sort of engaged tank like Maokai. But we got a player like Smeb who can play so many different champions. Sometimes it's just best to have that initiation on your AD carry instead if you can get away with it. And Prey has shown that he is one of the best, very, very best Ashe players in the world.
Yeah.
So.
See that? I mean, you can see that win rate right there on the screen. It's
Actually, I'm going to check his all-time win rate on that real quick.
That speaks pretty strong, pretty highly of how good he is on that Ashe, at least in this year.
Yeah, it's been a pick that became very prioritized in their match last week against Ever. So we've seen that trend before. He is lifetime 16-2 on Ashe.
It's a pretty good scoreline.
Pretty damn good, I would say.
Well, we'll see if he can make that 17 or if it's going to fall to 3 for the loss ratio. So far, just going to be slow and steady as she goes here between both of these sides. No swaps coming out, so not going to see those early tower takes. It's just going to be a longer farming phase, it seems, for the time being.
One of the big issues that Smeb had the last time he was playing this Swain was that he didn't build enough armor, and his itemization was pretty suspect, which allowed him to melt in the front lines much faster than he would have liked. So we'll keep an eye on his itemization this game. We'll be going for that Rod of Ages first, of course, but after that, there's a lot of threat here, of course, from the AP that Faker's going to have and the AoE. But we'll see if he decides to itemize more against that or if he's going to go for more armor to deal with the late game Sivir instead. Well, Faker going for tier. We'll see if he goes tier Rod and goes for the big time scaling or whether he's going to build something else on this Anivia.
Yeah, the Rod of Ages with the tier's been pretty much the staple for as long as I can really remember. You can see, of course, Smeb's going to be picking up a Rod of Ages of his own, so he's getting ready to complete the Catalyst of Aeons, as it is now called.
So many Aeons in there.
There's so many Aeons.
You know, you really don't want Aeons. If you know anything about Gnosticism, they're not things that you want.
He's going to have a plethora of them. See Smeb, though, taking a lot of damage. Duke, with this Dark Seal, starting to output a decent amount of damage. Smeb's just going to be a little bit further behind before he can get that Catalyst in.
Yeah, that actually is a problem right now, that he can't have that sustain the Catalyst at the moment. You see Faker with that Emax doing quite a bit of work.
Yep, starting to bully out this Vladimir. Will start falling behind a little bit in CS, but is able to bring it back in. Bengi, though, sees Peanut, says, you know what, let's just go in for the dive, but Smeb's got a pretty big wave, but no mana, so they're just going to jump right on top of him and find first blood. Peanut not going to be able to get the end of the line into the wall in time, and that's just going to be a very well-executed dive from SK Telecom.
Wow, that was really bold by Bengi, actually, moving in with his flash alongside of Duke, knowing that even though Peanut was right there on the Gromp, that he was going to have the burst in order to take that out. He will go ahead and start to take away this blue buff. Not that it's particularly useful to the ROX Tigers. Maybe they would have given that to Smeb in any case, but they're going to get another refresh on Faker here, which is going to allow him to put down even more pressure. Man, that is so good for Anivia. So Bengi doing some work already in this early game.
All right. Jungle's kicking things off so far in this match.
He's going for the same build that he did in Game 1 of SK...
Sightstone before the jungle completion, yeah.
Yeah, Game 1 of SK Telecom's last match, so the Blue Smite, like you said, into the Sightstone.
Oh, man, he is just being a nuisance to Peanut right now, taking away that Gromp with the Smite. And all Peanut's going to get is collapsing that tunnel.
Poor Peanut. Also,
he got 10 gold, it's all right.
3 wards in because of that Sightstone, too, so Bengi just doing his Bengi things. And ROX thought, well, if Bengi's just going to, they're going to play Bengi and he's going to play this Sightstone build, why not just play this Graves and farm up? So we have the much more effective jungler come the late game. And that's really what ROX is looking for here. One dive onto Smeb really isn't the end of the world when we're talking about them having a Vlad and a Swain and a Graves, all of which are going to be extraordinarily powerful late. Not to say that Anivia and Sivir will not be, but that trio, it will be difficult for SKT to actually find kills.
And this is SKT putting ROX in a really precarious spot when it comes down to the draft. I mean, they're forced to ban the Azir, Maokai, and Ryze on the side of Tigers because you need to take that Azir away from Faker, but then this just allows one of those 2 big junglers that Bengi wants to get his hands on to come through the draft. So it's either take out Bengi's junglers or let SKT get so many other picks with that Maokai for Duke, with that Azir in the mid lane for Faker.
Well, that's been Bengi's entire career, right? Is that you could never ban out his champions because of whatever top laner that SK Telecom has and then Faker's champion pool. Like, you can't give Faker Azir right now. Every other team has made that mistake so far this season. He picks it every single game. You know what they're going to do. They're going to play Faker Ezreal because they've done it in 4 games now consecutively. So I like the fact that ROX is at least testing and seeing where he's going to go. Faker had the chance to pick this Anivia. Once he saw the Vlad and the Swain, he knew that one of them was going to be in the mid lane, probably the Vlad. And this was his solution because Vlad is not going to be putting that much pressure down onto Anivia early.
Yep. It's nice moves here. Good so far by SK Telecom. Not going to see much more action since that dive at the top, but already a 1.2 thousand gold lead starting to accrue for these guys. We'll see just when they want to go down for that Mountain Drake. Got to open up some pressure, maybe get a gank down there for Bengi, send Prey and Gorilla back to the base, if not get a kill, and then they can feel confident to go for that pretty major global objective.
Yeah, this is really just going to be a farming game, though. Both teams waiting for some pretty heavy stacks to come through on a variety of items. Both junglers just looking to farm up, at least for the moment. Bengi being a little bit more diligent and able to get those early wards down. But besides the first blood, there's a slight CS advantage in the mid lane, which is to be expected.
Wow, just consistent damage coming out there from that Aniniva TP in the bot side, though. Going to be matched as Smeb comes in to join. Looks like he's just going to be up on the front side. Duke laying down that parallel convergence will catch him with the stun, and it looks like this Swain is just going to go down, and he does. Wolf finds the kill, and here comes Bengi actually on the backside, trying to get on top of Prey. Smites him out to get the slow, but he's going to get stoned up by the concussive blows. And it looks like they might just back off. Bang's a little bit too low. They're playing with fire right now.
Wow, nice dodging from Prey there on some of those skill shots.
Yep, Duke's still here, though, and he's pretty healthy. He feels confident to go in underneath the tower. He's going to take down Gorilla with relative ease, and Peanut arriving a little bit too late. Will get one kill with the collateral damage, but they're not going to be able to pick up much else.
Yes, Smeb should never have actually completed that TP in that particular instance because they were way too far away at that point in time.
Yeah.
The ultimate and summoners had already been used by Prey, so not very much of a chance of turning around that fight whatsoever. So he just sort of sacrifices himself to the bottom lane gods. And that's not going to do them a whole lot of favors. Fortunately, Wolf and Duke were the ones who got the kills, so didn't actually go on to Prey or have any effect from that angle. Still a bit rough, though.
But SKT looking like, you know, they're willing to pull the trigger on a lot of these dives. And they're coming out for the most part ahead. Had they not lost Wolf in that instance, or if they had not taken as much damage as they did, that could have completely transferred over into this first dragon take. But for the time being, it will just remain standing. But like you said, Smeb, really questionable completion on the teleport. I mean, Duke pulled the trigger faster and then seems wasn't there to back him up. So Smeb looking like an ATPer at the moment.
Well, I don't understand what happened to start that engagement or why Prey and Gorilla were so far up in a long lane when Sivir still had the ultimate up, and we never got to see Prey actually shoot his ult off. So I'm not sure if they initiated that and then got it turned around on them with Smeb having the later TP, which really shouldn't happen because Duke doesn't have a fast way to stop his teleport. But in any case, Smeb not having the best game so far. And to SKT's credit, they look at this Swain, they said, okay, you're going to be building Rod of Ages, you're trying to scale up. Well, instead, we're going to buy Sheen and Dark Seal, and then once we get an advantage in that top lane, it's going to start spilling over into the bottom side now so we can get them an advantage too. So SK Telecom playing well around their winning lanes and just propping up lanes that weren't doing so well because bottom was getting shoved in, was losing a little bit in CS, making that TP play, catching them out, and then helping them to get ahead now.
Yep. Let's see, the Rift Herald will make his one-time appearance, and he goes down. It's going to be Duke with the buff for the time being. He already has 4 stacks on that Dark Seal. And you can see Faker is just doing such a good job hammering in the damage onto Kuro. Of course, he can keep up because he is that Vladimir with the transfusions, but it's really making him suffer as far as the CS numbers go. We can see a 36 CS lead already here for Faker, just 13 minutes in.
Yep, and Faker had this ready. We knew the Vlad was going to be an option. We started seeing the Vlad coming out in Korea late last week, and now it returns, but people already looking at what they can do, and Aniniva, wow, Faker stole that with his ult.
Oh my god.
So, yeah,
just Faker things.
Just popping in the jungle, taking some enemy minions there with the Glacial Storm. Pops right back into lane.
Bengi's looking to replicate it.
Oh, it was at 1 HP! And Bengi stole it with his smite.
That is, okay. He's just going to ride that happy
was
wave
at
straight
1.
on into the Dragon Pit.
One Achilles. Wow, that's so sad.
Well, they're going to be able to finish off the Dragon, but the fight's breaking out here as ROX just piles on to Bang, and it looks like they're going to be able to take him out. Peanut flashing to the backside of the pit will be able to finalize the kill. Bengi tunneling his way out. Looks like that might just be the disengage, so SKT pick up a red buff, a Dragon, but they lose the Sivir.
Yeah, not the best ultimate there from Prey either. It was quickly sidestepped by Bang during his ultimate, and now we see some proxy farming here from Duke, forcing the TP from Smeb back into that top lane. He will, of course, be able to clear out that wave pretty darn quickly with the help of his ultimate. Yeah,
and it's going to be Infernal Drake to follow up on the mountain, so SK Telecom can get that one as well. It'd be pretty good. We see how this just
Yeah, a lot of missed skill shots right here. They couldn't clear the spell shield fast enough. Oh, the arrow did hit. Okay, so Bang was tagged by. It looked like it wasn't at first, but
it looked like it shouldn't have.
Yes,
but it did.
It definitely looked like it should not have. They did have to wait to throw that out because Prey was waiting for the spell shield to be gone, and it took them a little bit longer than normal due to some other missed skill shots right there, including the Winter's Bite coming in from Gorilla.
Interesting pathing by Bang to run into the pit there instead of up and out toward the blue buff, but all the same, they still got the Dragon, and SK Telecom will retain this about 2,000 gold lead for the time being. A big majority of that going to be made up from Faker and Duke right now, who both have 20-plus CS leads over mid lane opponents. Bang's fallen a little bit behind, though, so that's somewhat worrisome.
All right, this is still a very winnable game for the ROX Tigers. What I'm curious about is what their lane assignments are going to be, because we don't have a TP on the Vladimir, so are they going to risk going into a 1-3-1 situation, which would probably be ideal for the ROX Tigers, just because then they could apply pressure, fall back to a Dragon or Baron, and then force SK Telecom, who just doesn't have very much engage, to engage them. But you also do run the risk of getting picked off, especially with the Sivir ult on the team, because you don't have that TP, and you can't get back, even with that Ghost and the 45% move speed at level 18, still more of a risk than if you had the teleport. So I'm wondering if ROX is going to take it or not. I think it is an acceptable risk, and I would do it here.
Well, here comes Bangy. Wall comes in. Goro just going to go ahead, drop into that.
You got excited.
Pool. Yeah. It's like, wait a second, that's a Vladimir.
You should never get excited about Vladimir ganks.
Correct.
Unless you've seen that pool go down first.
Got to force him to use that first. And
he has no summoners. Then you're okay.
Yep.
Then you can get excited.
Oh, okay. TP coming in here from Duke. That's going to be on the hunt, pop by Bang. Duke will still get caught by the Glacial Fissure, but they're just piling straight onto Gorilla as best they can. The bubble not going to connect. He will flash away, so it's going to be a flash for a TP.
That was an extremely well-played little series of events there by Gorilla. He hit the Winter's Bite the instant that the Echo TP'd in. Even though Echo was in the middle of his E right after he dashed in, TP'd in, he hit the Braum ultimate on the Echo also, and then was able to just jump over to Prey and use that Unbreakable. So nice escape, but SK Telecom, they provide the pressure, and that's going to mean this turret goes down. Same thing in the top side, though. Smeb gets some alone time, and he will grab the solo gold from that to help catch him back up.
Oh, well, Duke's finding Peanut. Collateral damage not really going to come through, and Duke is still going to continue this pressure as Bangy's getting ready to join him up on the top side. Trying to get as many slows in as he can as Peanut's whittled down to about 30% HP. Bangy, the Prey Seeker, not going to connect. Use the tunnel to close the gap. Do they want to dive this one? Looks like they might just say, hell yeah, let's go for it. Parallel Convergence comes out, but Duke's going to snap back with the ultimate. They pick up Peanut, and they're going to be able to back right off. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, what the hell? Prey's just going to walk up onto Bang's face and just flurry him to death.
Wow, Prey didn't even use his ultimate right there, so I'm not sure what exactly Bang was doing. He also didn't use heal, so we'll have to get a replay of that one, because that was a very atypically bad duel, it would seem, at first blush from Bang.
Very much a head-scratcher of the situation.
Yeah, may have just gotten caught out by himself. Let's take a look at what...
What?
He has no mana either. Oh, no.
Oh, Bang.
He didn't have enough mana to ult. Wah, wah, wah.
Just let me know, folks. Don't recall there. Smeb, though, in a bad spot as the turret gets taken out. 3 members piling on. The tidal wave, just for good measure. Pace still has a good amount of sustain as Peanut's getting ready to join in. Almost takes out Wolf and Bangy. They just can't finish him. He's now out of mana, but so is Duke. So they just have to back off. So they get the turret, but not going to be able to get much else.
Wow. Okay, well, that's the state of this game, apparently. Bit sloppy, back and forth. Actually, that was not sloppy by SKT. The roam from Wolf was really quite good, and they were just trying to dive him right as the tower went down. Unfortunately, that's sort of the state of Swain at the moment.
Yeah, those nerfs need to come through. Take down that healing another notch.
The Bang recall was very sloppy, though. That was...
that should... You should... Your turret is 5 yards away.
So
just walk to it. Embrace its sanctity there.
Okay, well, now they are actually going to start this 1-3-1. they've decided that now is the time. Prey has had that hurricane for a while. They could have begun it previously, but instead gets a little bit delayed, and you see SKT try and hit some of these bubbles. The Nami will just a little off right there as Tigers will juke out of it.
This is important pressure for SKT to build up here. Try to chip down ROX Tigers and send them back to base because that Infernal Drake just spawned. You see, though, just going to go ahead and go straight forward. Gorilla taking a ton of damage. Jumps to the side to avoid the bubble. But opening here potentially for SKT for this Dragon. Duke on the backside. Going to try to just keep Peanut away from the pit. He will be able to do so successfully. And Smeb goes back for the home guards, not even going to use the teleport.
Wow. Okay, well, that was pretty sloppy from ROX. They needed to decide whether or not they were going to do that because otherwise Swain...
pressure on the top.
Yep, Swain could have pushed down to Tier 2, and Vladimir was stuck all the way at his own Tier 2.
Oh, arrow comes out, catches, bang. Can't answer with much damage, though. Faker just trying to zone them out with that flash freeze.
Smeb back down now to try and help clear out this minion wave, but it looks like this may be a sacrificial turret. Bang was stunned, but not really chunked out in that exchange. Kuro now here too. Uses that Tides of Blood. But
yeah, with another new wave here, that should be the turret going down. Actually, Bang's not walking up to try to get this one. The wave clear still there from Smeb and Vladimir, both of which have those AoE abilities to work down the minions. So not going to be able to find it quite just yet, but you know, it's just one more considered push and they are able to take down that turret. And that would be the last Tier 1 going down.
It's looking more and more likely. Ash is there to harass Bengi while they wait for the minion wave. Gorilla left there alone, though, with a tiny amount of HP.
Yep. Faker is just laying on the damage. Still hits the Q as well. He's trying to get that one more hit in. It's not going to be, well, he's just going to walk up and get it now. Just screw it. There we go. Duke coming around the backside. Not going to arrive in time for the parallel convergence, but another turret falls in favor of SK Telecom. They were making very good use of that Mountain Dragon.
And now the Infernal Drake, too. So SK Telecom, we cited that so far in the games that they've played, in the 4 games, they've taken 82% of Dragons, and they've taken 100% of them in this game so far. ROX not getting off to a great start, falling behind in that mid lane in terms of CS, but they will be a force in the late game. We've already seen that 3 people can't exactly take down Smeb.
Yep.
Has some extra MR now with the completion of that Abyssal Scepter. And they've got 1 Ignite on the side of SK Telecom. They're not going to be too thrilled about building a Mortal Reminder on Sivir at this point in the game, but eventually, once she gets one, 4th item, that'll be great for them with the Ricochet and the just allowing that to proc across the front line.
Yeah. See, though, speaking of great start, as you mentioned, Faker looking pretty good. 2 more stacks for the Rod of Ages and already has the Seraph's Embrace completely stacked up at about 23 minutes those came through.
Yeah, so he's going for the old school Aniniva build, hasn't really changed.
To get that fully completed in 25 minutes is pretty good.
Yeah, it makes sense why it wouldn't change either. Really, the only thing that changed about Aniniva were some of the durations on her crowd control, the fact that her ult starts smaller and gets bigger now. Yeah. She just has a little bit more slow and stun potential, which is obviously fantastic against this team, which needs to pretty much just run at you with Swain and Vladimir. So it's easy to hit that CC and kite them out. Yep.
Again, this is 6.10, guys. Means that blue buff gets taken. Actually, Bengi has to snatch it up. But this is 6.10, so Anivia not going to be having the nerf to the cost of the ultimate quite just yet. So that'll be in 6.11. So Anivia might be a little bit less desirable, but even then, it's not that big of a change.
Now there's collapse coming in right here. SKT's got to be careful.
Oh, yeah, Flash bangs it on the head, block that one with the spell shield, but Bengi gets caught by the arrow. Just piling on the Faker in the back line. Already pops that Seraph's Embrace to get the shield, but he's just getting whittled down. Has the egg, but they should be able to finish him off if they can just get that damage out there. Smeb will fall. Faker almost going down, and he will. The end of the line from Peanut going to finish him off. Meanwhile, Duke goes into the backside, and he's going to take down Prey. And now it's 2 very low HP members of ROX on the run. Has to flash the wall there for Kuro. Peanut running up. Could be cut off by Duke. I think he's not going to get out of this one alive.
Well, he's doing his best to dodge around right now. And if they want to take an actual objective, I think they are going to have to ignore Peanut because it is a waste of time just to follow him through the jungle at the moment. We're going to keep trying, though.
Yeah, Bank's going to go for it. Spell shield to eat that. He's just going to quick draw over the wall. Boom, Boomerang Blade takes a little bit off of him. It's pretty much an inevitability at this point. He's just like, I'm going to take as much as I can.
Take that, small Raptors. Shotgun to the face.
Actually, he might make it out of here. Kuro's coming in. The bubble doesn't get egg. Oh, there's Bengi. Tunnels forward. Drilling smite. There we go. All right, so a very extended chase, but they will kill him in the end. But he might have taken more in gold than he was worth.
Yeah, let's take a look at this fight again, because Peanut comes over the wall. Prey does manage to land the arrow, but on Bengi, which isn't a priority target, and they just go nuts onto Faker in this backline.
Yeah.
But actually a really poor ultimate there from Kuro. The Hemo Plague only hit Faker, and all of their AoE was kind of wasted on Faker and Wolf only.
Yeah.
Not really the way you want to do it with this composition. If you're going to be using the bird form from Swain and the Hemoplague, you kind of want to hit more than one person with it at a time. So I think they just tunneled way too hard on killing Faker, and that left Bang basically free to do damage, and a lack of what their team composition does in team fights, which is massive amounts of area of effect.
But that's like the catch-22 when you're playing against SK Telecom, because you know that Faker is almost and arguably the most dangerous member on the team. So it's like, okay, we need to take out Faker so we can do this. But everybody else is so damn good that they can still make up for it in the fight, even if Faker goes down, as we've seen time and time again. And that's been the crutch of a lot of teams, especially so far, especially with the KT match, is they just solo out and tunnel onto Faker, and the rest of the team just sweeps him out.
Even at the end of that fight, though, Peanut flashed on top of the egg to kill him before he could revive. And at a certain point, having the Vlad on top of the Aniniva should be enough. So we see another fight starting right now.
Tidal Wave coming out, but Gorilla blocks that and depletes it with the Unbreakable. Arrow comes across, but it's not going to catch anybody really high priority. Prey is already going to fall under this pressure that Duke is laying down. Chase still coming through this parallel convergence. It's about to land. Can't find the stun on Kuro as he is in that Sanguine Pool, but he's just going to keep chasing in underneath this tower. Still has that ultimate available. Looks like the lack of mana, though, does cause him to pull back. TP comes in from Smeb. He gets popped up. He is regaining a good amount of HP here. Hemoplague comes down. Looks like it only found Bengi so far. He will be able to retreat out on the backside. He's not going to go down. Meanwhile, Bang finishes off the Swain.
Those ricochets, man, are ridiculously brutal. But Faker played that TP so well. Walled off one side of the turret, and then Glacial Storm. There was nowhere for Smeb to go after TPing in.
Into a bubble immediately as well.
Yeah, but the Tigers, on the other hand, even starting that engagement there in the top side of the river, Smeb had his TP up that entire time, but it was effectively a 5v4. Now there's going to be another Mountain Drake going over to SKT. And you thought you could do fair and fast with regular Aniniva? Well, try now.
Yeah, we'll take another look at this here as they get in underneath of the turret.
Yeah, that's just a gorgeous play there from Wolf and Faker to trap him underneath that turret. But even so, Smeb, you can see the amount of damage he can do and the sustain that he has in that particular scenario. Hello, crit.
Oh, pop. Bouncing
crits. Going to be the story of this game. And guess what? Guess who has no armor? It's Smeb.
Oh, guess who has no mana? It's Peanut. And he's about to go down as Bengi. Well, never mind. Okay, Bengi doesn't want anything to do with it.
I love how Bengi, well, he's building, okay. He's getting there now.
Oh, I can see. He had the ward here in the jungle, so he spotted them coming through. That's why he peeled off the chase. Okay.
Every other Rek'Sai in this league will build Titanic Hydra right now. But nope, not Bengi. It's Sightstone. You know, just going for all of the utility items, getting more slows with the Randuin's Omens, or with the Blue Smite, and then has the attack speed reduction from the Randuin's Omen. So,
who would have guessed that being a team player?
He's a utility player. Just funny.
Yeah, he is still pretty fearless, just walking up, trying to secure yet another blue buff for Faker, and they will be able to do so. Because, I mean, how can you even contest with that damage? He does 1,100 on the E. It's absolutely absurd. And look at this, SKT are just going to split objectives around the map. Duke pressuring in for this inhibitor, has the TP available, and the rest of SK Telecom starting up the Baron, maybe even just going to find a pick onto Gorilla, and they do.
Yeah,
Bang takes him out, Tidal Wave comes through, will knock up Kuro. Meanwhile, Bengi goes in, pops up Smeb, who's on the run, but I don't think he's going to make it out of this one alive. Has the Ignite ticking, and Faker will find the kill. Kuro with nowhere to go. It's going to go down as well as Bang finds yet another kill. Peanut flashing the wall, trying to get out of there, but Bengi and Duke are chasing hard, using the collateral damage to create some more distance, and he actually will be allowed to walk out with his life, but it's one of those things where they send him back to the base and they tell him, don't you tell the rest of your team, don't you ever mess with SK Telecom again.
His friends are dead. He's got no one to tell. He's going to go tell the shopkeeper.
He's just going to sit there in the fetal position crying.
Well, he should. I mean, this game was... It was going to be about whether or not SK Telecom had the objective priority, whether they could be there first, whether they could get these good kiting and not engages, but kites out around the objectives. Right there, we see again, they turn, Faker walls off Gorilla to start off that fight. And there's no way that you can just walk into them with a Vladimir and a Swain. So there's nowhere for Gorilla to go right there. Has to use his jump to get back over the wall.
Yep.
And Smeb here just focused down instantaneously. The Ignite ticking on him, so the healing is reduced. And the burst damage from a crit from Bang and from Faker's Flash Frost is absolutely brutal, as we saw as this team fight drags on.
Oh, well, Bangy's just going to try to keep it going. Did he get that red? No, he did not. So Peanut was able to take away the red buff. So a buff picked back up here for the side of ROX, but they really haven't gotten many of them.
I don't know why Smeb is going for Rylai's right now. I really think you need Azonias. I think you have to have some way...
Just sit in the middle of them, deal damage while the Hemo Plague is there, but...
Yeah, it's just not happening, and that is a little bit frustrating to watch, is because I feel like Smeb's itemization has not exactly been ideal on this Swain, or he hasn't counter-built to where the damage is coming from his opponents, and you have a 5-2-7 Sivir on the board, who with an Infinity Edge, who's now also going to be building into that Mortal Reminder. And considering SK Telecom's immense gold lead right now, 13,000 or so, well, this game's pretty much over. There's no way the ROX can actually fight this at this stage.
Yeah. And just to add to it, Faker has that Morellonomicon as well in his inventory, so they're just reducing everybody's healing with those Grievous Wounds. So once the Mortal Reminder comes in, it's basically a good game here for the side of ROX.
Yeah. Not going to be much. I mean, Smeb is just not even doing anything to Duke anymore. He's 3 levels behind.
Yeah. I mean, and the Swain was an answer to the Echo pickup, which they basically knew was going to be for Duke in the top lane. I'm sure Faker has played it in mid, but it's very much more likely going to be the Echo top. And they still pick the Swain, and Smeb's just not been able to do anything to keep Duke from just jumping onto the face of his back line.
Well, you do have to commend SKT's draft here for taking that Aniniva after seeing both the Vlad and the Swain. That was an intelligent counter pick, not only for the lane against Vlad, but just because if you start to get ahead with this Aniniva, there is nothing that Vlad and Swain can do to you.
Yeah. Oh,
goodbye.
Yep. Well, everybody just jukes out that one. Not going to connect. And double Mountain Drake yet again, plus the Infernal. SKT are doing a hell of a lot of damage to that turret. Kuro goes in really deep, and he's not going to make it out of this one alive. That Knight taking him down. And the last tick. Oh, he's got the Zonias, but Bengi's there to pick it up. So he says, you know what? That'll be mine. He uses the Hemo Plague. Oh, Kuro.
Kuro keeping up with his single target Hemo Plagues this game. Really not a great Vladimir game from Kuro at all.
Well, it's looking like maybe hashtag wake up cry for game 2 coming in here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see. That would definitely open up the Azir option at the very least.
Oh, well, double bubble goes in onto Gorilla and Smeb. Gorilla going to stop the tidal wave with the Unbreakable. Duke taking a bit of damage, pretty low on mana as well, but has a Guardian Angel. Look at Bang, just at the front line, taking up all this damage, allowing Bang to just layer on those hits there from the Sivir. Triple kill coming in for him. That's going to be the ace, and this should pretty much be the game here as the wave's getting ready to come in. Are they going to back off?
No, Bengi is just going to ult back in. Don't worry about it, Achilles.
Okay.
Duke has TP, Bengi has ult.
Duke also still has his ultimate. This is going to be the game, yep. I was like, come on, you have this. But yeah, 34 minutes. SK Telecom taking down ROX, making him look like a non-factor. 4 times as many kills as ROX had.
Yep, also 17,000 gold. Pretty good.